My name is Collie Monroe. I'm 28 years old. 13 years ago, on a freezing January night in rural Tennessee, my father looked me dead in the eye and said, "Pack your bag and get out." I didn't want a troublemaker like you under me roof. I was 15, standing in the hallway in my socks, nowhere to go. "There's son?" My younger sister told a lie, a deliberate, calculated lie that my parents swallowed whole without asking me a single question. And just like that, I was gone. 3 hours later, a stranger called them from the county hospital. I'd collapsed on Route 9 from hypothermia and a fractured wrist. When me dad walked into that emergency room and saw who was sitting next to my bed, his hands wouldn't stop shaking. He actually backed against the doorframe. How do you know my daughter?" The woman sitting there was Dr. Patricia Holt, chair of the education department at Vanderbilt University, and one of the most published researchers in the state. She'd found me face down in a ditch on the side of the road and called 911. She stayed with me. She didn't have to, but she did. That night changed everything. Last month, I stood on a stage at my sister's graduation ceremony as the keynote speaker. My parents were enthusiasts. They had no idea I was coming. Before I tell you what happened when they saw me, please take a moment to like and subscribe if you're genuinely enjoying this story. I'd also love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Drop a comment below. Now let me take you all the way back to the beginning, because the storm didn't start that January night. It had been building for years. I learned early on that in our house, Brooke's tears were louder than my accomplishments. When I was 11, I won the state junior science fair. My project on soil contamination from agricultural runoff placed first out of 62 students. I was so proud I couldn't breathe. I ran home with the blue ribbon clutched so tight and my fist edges cut into my palm. I burst through the back door and found Mom at the kitchen table. "Mom, I won." She smiled, pulled me into a hug. "Oh, honey, that's wonderful." Then Brooke shuffled in from the living room. She was 9 years old, and her face was red and blotchy. She'd been crying. I messed up me solo at dance practice. Everyone watched me freeze. Mom's arms left me. She moved past me and bent down to Brooke's level. "Baby, come here." Happens to everyone. You'll get it perfect by recital. I stood in the doorway still holding my ribbon. Nobody asked to see it. I set it on the counter and went upstairs. That was the pattern. Brooke needed more. Brooke was sensitive. Brooke required careful handling. I learned to celebrate quietly, to shrink, to take up less space. By the time I was 13, I had stopped showing them my grades. Straight A's didn't compete with Brooke's B- meltdowns. When I got accepted into a prestigious summer STEM program at the University of Tennessee, I was thrilled. Full scholarship, 6 weeks studying environmental science with actual field researchers. Dad glanced up from the TV. "That's real nice, Collie." Brooke started crying immediately. "Why does she get to go away for the whole summer? That's not fair." Mom put her arm around Brooke and looked at me over her shoulder. "Collie, maybe this year isn't the best time. Your sister is going through a hard stretch. She needs us all here." I didn't go to the program. They called it family first. They called it being the bigger person. I called it being erased. I learned to be small, but the real breaking point was coming. I just didn't know it would arrive in January. The lying had started small. Brooke, 12 now, would take things from my room without asking. My lip gloss, my favorite hoodie, my charger. When I mentioned it, always calmly, she would deny it. "I never touched your stuff," even when my hoodie was literally folded on her bed. Mom would sigh. "Collie, don't start drama." Then $20 went missing from the jar I kept on my dresser where I saved up from babysitting. Brooke told Mom she saw me near Theater that morning, counting bills. I hadn't touched it. I'd left for school before anyone else was awake. Dad called me into the den. "Did you take money from your own savings jar?" "Why would I steal from myself?" "Brooke says you took it and put it back after you spent some." His jaw set. "Don't call your sister a liar." "I didn't take it." His voice dropped flat. "Enough, Collie. I'm disappointed in you." I lost my phone for 3 weeks. STEM program I'd been promised for the next summer, gone. "We can't reward that kind of behavior," Mom said. Brooke watched from the stairs and smiled at me when no one was looking. That $20 was a test run. Brooke was learning she could manufacture anything. The pattern grow. A cracked bathroom mirror. My fault, even though I'd been at school. A failed English test Brooke hadn't studied for. I should have helped her review. A rumor that made the rounds at the middle school about Brooke's friend group. I must have started it, even though I barely knew any of those kids. I stopped defending myself. What was the point? They believed her tears over my facts every single time. By 15, I felt like a ghost in my own house. Present, but invisible unless Somio needed someone to blame. I spent more and more time at the public library, at school, at my friend Harper's house. I told myself just to get through sophomore year and then junior year and then I'd be 18 and I could leave. I was wrong. January. Freshman year of high school, there was a boy named Dylan. He was in me honors biology class. Quiet, kind, terrible at lab reports. He'd asked me for help twice and I'd stayed after class to walk him through the methodology. That was it. Pure homework help. Brooke had a crush on him that I can only describe as seismic. She'd rearranged her school route to walk past his locker. She'd written Brooke Monroe Haskell in her diary in about 15 different fonts. I'd seen it once by accident when he returned her scissors. On a Wednesday, Dylan caught up to me in the hallway after class. Hey, Collie, that lab report you helped me with got a minus. Thank you. I smiled. Happy to help. He said, maybe we could study together for midterms sometime. I said sure. He walked away. I turned and Brooke was standing at the far end of the hall, staring at me. Her face was blank and pale. That night at dinner, she didn't say a word, just pushed her foot around. I should have recognized that quiet for what it was. Brooke's silence was always more dangerous than her tears. The following Monday, I had a guest speaker in my sophomore English class, Dr. Patricia Holt from Vanderbilt. She was presenting on literacy inequity in rural school districts. I stayed after class to ask questions about her research methodology. She seemed genuinely surprised that a student had dug that deep into the topic. You have a real mind for this, she said, and handed me her card. Don't let anyone talk you out of that curiosity. I thanked her. I had no idea she was going to save me life. The following Friday, the cold front warning started. A bad one. Everyone nesting up, worried about black ice and pipes freezing. Brooke still hadn't spoken a word to me all week. I was actually looking forward to staying in all weekend and catching up on my reading. I had absolutely no idea what was being planned. Friday evening. It got dark around 5. We ate dinner mostly in silence. Dad's phone kept buzzing with weather alerts, temperature dropping to single digits. Brooke barely touched her food. I could feel her watching me every time I looked away. After dinner, I went up to my room and started my history reading. Outside, the wind was picking up hard. The kind of cold that gets through the walls. Around 7:30, I heard crying downstairs. Brooke, loud, heaving, uncontrollable. I froze, put down my book, listened. Mom's voice, soft and urgent. Honey, what's wrong? Talk to me. More crying. And then, Collie, Dad's voice, sharp. Get down here right now. My stomach dropped. I walked downstairs slowly. Each step felt too heavy. Brooke was on the couch with her face buried in Mom's shoulder. Mom was stroking her hair. Dad was standing by the fireplace, arms crossed, face red. What's going on? Brooke lifted her face. Her eyes were swollen, tears streaming. She looked at me and for just a fraction of a second, something passed through her expression that wasn't grief at all. Something calculated and cold. Then the tears came back. Tell her what you told us, Dad said. His voice racist. Brooke's lip trembled. Why do you hate me so much? I stepped closer. I didn't hate you. I don't even know what you're talking about. Why have you been spreading rumors about me? Brooke whispered. My mind blanked. What rumors? About you and Dylan? About me cheating in that English quiz? About me buying some kind of liar? The room tilted. Collie, Mom said quietly. Just don't. I didn't know what was coming. But I was about to find out. And it was going to cost me everything. I didn't spread any rumors, I said. My voice shook. I don't know what she told you. Brooke pulled out her phone, hands trembling. Then explain this. She showed me a screenshot, a group chat, messages that supposedly came from my number, my profile photo, vicious stuff about Brooke and her friends. Things I will never say in a million years. But there was my name. Someone made that, I said. Someone cloned my number or made a fake profile. Stop lying, Dad said. His voice cracked like a branch. I'm not. And Elon, Brooke whispered. You knew he liked him. But you've been flirting with him anyway, trying to make me look stupid in front of everyone. He asked me for help with the lab report. That is literally all that happened. That's all, Brooke repeated, her voice rising. You stayed after school with him. His friend said he told him you were pretty. We're study partners, nothing more. You did it to hurt me. You're always trying to hurt me. And last week on the stairs, she continued. Last week you pushed me. Look at this. She pulled up her sleeve. A bruise on her forearm. Dark purple and ugly. I stared at it. I never touched you. She turned to Mom. She did. I didn't want to say anything because I felt bad for her. But now, Mom stood up and moved between us. Collie, this is very serious. If you put your hands on your sister, it didn't touch her. Then how did she get that bruise? Dad demanded. I don't know. She could have done it herself. The word hung in the air. Brooke's eyes went wide. Fresh tears. You think I would hurt myself just to frame you? Honestly? Yes. I was shouting now. Yes. Because you have been doing this for years. You've been lying about me for years and they believe you every single time. Dad took a step toward me. You've been bullying your little sister, making her life miserable under this very roof. No. Please just listen to me. I've heard enough, he said. His fist came down on the mantel so hard the framed photos rattled. I've heard enough of your excuses, your lies, your victim act. They're not excuses. Please, just let me explain this. There is nothing to explain, Mom said. Her voice was quiet and sad, which somehow hurt worse than yelling. I thought we raised you to be better than this. Brooke sobbed into her palms. Perfect picture of a victim. I looked at her, really looked. And for just a moment she looked back, and her eyes were completely dry, calculating, steady. You're lying, I said. Barely a whisper. I'm not, she said. And her voice didn't shake at all. You made this whole thing up. Collie. Mom's voice was a warning. She is lying. I turned to Dad. Please, you have to believe me. I would never hurt her. I will never spread rumors about her. She's doing this because she's jealous. Because Dylan doesn't like her back. That's what this actually is. Dad's face went flat and cold. I don't want to hear another word out of you tonight. His finger pointed at the front door. You are sick, Collie. Something is seriously wrong with you. Those words hit like a slap across the face. Sick. I'm not sick. You need help. Professional help. But right now, tonight, I need you out of my sight. Get out. Outside, the wind was slamming against the windows. The temperature was 8 degrees. Dad, it's January. I don't care. Where am I supposed to go? That is not my problem. His face twisted into something I didn't recognize. Get out. I don't want a troublemaker like you in this house. The words carved into my chest. Troublemaker. Like I was dangerous. Like I was broken. Like I was diseased. I looked at Mom. She turned away, kept her arms around Brooke. I grabbed my coat off the hook by the door. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't get the buttons. I got the door open. The cold hit me like a wall. Through the front window as I stepped onto the porch, I could see Brooke watching me leave. She wasn't crying anymore. She was smiling. The cold was physical, solid, mean. I stood on the porch for maybe 30 seconds waiting, hoping maybe Dad would open the door. Maybe he'd realize what he'd just done. The door stayed closed. I started walking down the driveway out to Route 9. No hero specific. Just away. Away from Thaddeus. Away from Brooke's lies. Away from parents who had decided I was sick without asking me a single question. My phone was at 4%. I pulled it out and called my friend Harper. No answer. I tried my friend Jessie. Straight to voicemail. It was Friday night. Everyone was home with their families, warm, safe. Not me. The wind cut right through my coat. The road was dark and long and empty. I walked toward town because I didn't know what else to do. The library. Maybe the library was still open. It wasn't. Dark windows, locked doors. The gas station was 2 miles up the road. If I could get there, I could sit inside and think. I walked. Every step was heavier. My sneakers weren't made for this cold. I could feel my toes going numb. My ears were burning. I thought about turning back, knocking on the door, begging to be let in. But the look on Dad's face, the absolute certainty. Sick daughter, troublemaker. Maybe he was right. Maybe something was actually wrong with me. Why else would my own family choose Brooke over me every single time? The gas station was still a mile away. I didn't see the car. I was crossing at the intersection where Route 9 meets Miller Creek Road. It was dark and the wind was howling and my eyes were watering from the cold, and I stepped off the curb and the headlights came out of nowhere. 2 bright eyes swinging around the curve. Brakes screaming on ice. I jumped, but not fast enough. The impact knocked me sideways off my feet. I hit the hood and then the asphalt came up in my wrist, took the weight, and then the back of my head hit the road and everything went white and then gray and then nothing made sense. I was on me side on the cold ground. Rain was not falling, but the road was wet and I could hear the wind and my own breathing and then a car door slamming and footsteps running. Oh God. Oh God. A woman's voice. High and panicked. Honey, can you hear me? I tried to answer. My mouth wouldn't work. Don't move. Stay still. I'm calling 911 right now. Her hands were in my shoulder, gentle. Stay with me. What's your name? I blinked, tried to focus. Her face was blurred. Dark hair, glasses. She looked familiar somehow. My parents, I managed. My voice came out wrong, thin. Your parents? Okay, tell them their number and I'll call them. I cawed, tasted copper. They don't. They kicked me out. The words were hard to push out. They said I was sick, told me to leave. She went still. She stared at me in the dark with the wind between us, and I watched her face change. It shifted from panic to something else. Recognition, maybe. Or horror. You're going to be okay, she said. Her voice was steadier now. I am going to stay with you. I promise. Sirens in the distance, getting louder. Her face was the last thing I saw before everything went dark. I don't remember the ambulance. I don't remember arriving at the hospital. My first clear memory is sound. Machines beeping, fluorescent lights buzzing, the antiseptic smell of inner, and a voice I recognized but couldn't place. She has a moderate concussion and a fractured radius. You need to keep her for at least 24 hours. I tried to open my eyes. Too heavy. Everything hurt. I'm staying. That same voice. Firm and clear. I am not leaving this girl alone. Ma'am, are you family? I'm the person who hit her. I'm staying until Somia new who loves her shows up. Time moved strangely. I drifted in and out. At some point I heard new voices. We're Callie Monroe's parents. Dad! He sounded strained. Mr. and Mrs. Monroe. The woman's voice again. Cooler now, professional. I'm Dr. Patricia Holt. I'm a professor and department chair at Vanderbilt. I'm also the one who hit your daughter with my car tonight. So I will be here until someone explains to me why a 15-year-old was walking alone on Route 9 at 8 o'clock in January. Silence. Mr. Monroe, I asked you a question. We had a situation, Dad said. A discipline matter. A discipline matter. Dr. Holt repeated slowly. What kind of discipline sends a child out in 8-degree weather? It wasn't like that. It wasn't like. Then what was it like? Because your daughter told Meza meeting before she lost consciousness. She said her parents kicked her out. She said you told her she was sick. More silence. Brooke's voice. Small. Scared. Callie made that up. She was barely conscious. She wasn't making anything up. I heard footsteps. Samiona moving away from my bed. Dr. Holt's voice further away. I'll be speaking with the duty social worker now. That won't be necessary, Dad said. Trying to sound like himself. Failing. We're her parents. We'll handle this. With all due respect, sir, the moment you sent Eminor outside in that temperature, it stopped being a private family matter, Doctor. Holt's footsteps came back. I felt her hand on mine. Warm. Steady. I'm not going anywhere. A new voice. A police officer. Mr. Monroe, ma'am, we're going to need to ask some questions. We didn't do anything wrong, Mom said. But her voice was shaking. Your daughter was found unconscious on Route 9 at 8 in the evening in January. She's 15 years old. We need to understand why she wasn't home. I tried to open my eyes. I could make out shapes. Dad's outline. Brooke behind him. Dr. Holt noticed. She's waking up. Everyone except medical staff needs to step out now. That's mid-order, Dad started. And I'm her doctor. Out, please. Footsteps fading. Voices dimming. The door closed. I felt her. Holt leaned close. You're safe now, she said quietly. I promise you are safe. I wanted to believe her, but safe had been a foreign concept in my life for a long time. I closed my eyes. Let the darkness pull me back under. When I woke up a day later, my parents were gone. Dr. Holt was still there. She had kept her word. She hadn't left. The concussion was moderate but serious. I spent 3 more days in that hospital. Dr. Holt came every day. Brought books. Brought food from outside because she said hospital cafeteria food was a moral failure. Sat in the chair beside my bed and talked to me about college, about environmental research, about a world I'd never let myself imagine. My parents came once. Brought a garbage bag of clothes in my backpack. Stood at the foot of my bed like strangers. We're glad you're all right, Mom said. Dad nodded. You gave us quite a scare. Neither of them apologized. Neither of them asked if I wanted to come home. Brooke didn't come at all on day 3. A social worker came. Her name was Miss Diaz. She had kind eyes and a calm voice, and she asked me careful questions about my home, my family, the night on Route 9. I told her everything. Every lie. Every punishment for things I hadn't done. Theme and Dad pointed at the door. Miss Diaz listened and wrote notes. Collie, you have options here. You don't have to go back. I stared at her. Where else would I go? Dr. Holt knocked and stepped in. She could stay with me. I turned and looked at her. What? She looked at Miss Diaz. Emergency foster placement. Temporary while we work out something more permanent. If that's what Collie wants. I've already called the county office. She looked back at me. Why would you do that? My voice cracked. You don't even know me. Dr. Holt sat on the edge of my bed. Because a Somion did it for me. When I was 16, my parents kicked me out and teacher took me in for 6 months. She changed my entire life. She touched my hand. You have a real mind, Collie. You have potential that most kids your age don't even recognize in themselves. Don't you let anyone tell you that you're sick. Don't you let anyone dim that light. I started crying. I couldn't help it. It came from somewhere deep and old. I'll understand if you want to go home, Dr. Holt said softly. But if you want something different, I'm here. I made a decision right there in that hospital room. I chose different. 6 months later, I was a different person. Same name. Different life. Dr. Holt's house in Nashville was quiet and organized and warm. Bookshelves vary, plants on every windowsill. A coffee maker that she took very seriously. She gave me the spare bedroom and told me I could do whatever I wanted with it. I covered the walls in maps and pinned index cards with vocabulary and science diagrams until it looked exactly like the inside of my head. It transferred schools. Started completely fresh. Nobody knew about Brooke. Nobody knew about the night on Route 9. I was just Collie, the girl who was good at science, who asked a lot of questions, who finally had enough space to breathe. Dr. Holt, Patricia, she insisted I call her, opened up a world I hadn't known existed. University lectures, research symposiums, dinners with colleagues discussing policy and equity and structural change. Education is the only reliable form of freedom, she would say. No one can ever take what you know. I threw myself into school with everything I had. Straight as weren't just grades anymore. They were proof. Evidence. Proof. I wasn't broken. Patricia taught me about grant writing and scholarship programs and the systems that were supposed to catch kids like me but mostly didn't. You're going to do something that matters. She told me one night over dinner. Spaghetti. She made it from scratch. I can see it in you. I thought about my old family sometimes. Wondered if Brooke had ever told them the truth. If Dad ever thought about those words. If Mom ever said anything. Mostly I didn't think about them at all. I heard things through mutual friends from back home. Brooke was doing fine. Still the center of everything. My parents had taken down all my photos. Made it easier, I suppose. Good, I thought. Let them erase me. I'm building something better. By my senior year, I had a plan. College, major in education policy, build a program that would actually catch the kids who fall through the cracks. Kids whose families fail them. I was going to take the worst thing that had ever happened to me and turn it into something that helped people. College was long nights and study groups, and slowly learning to trust other people again. I got a full scholarship to Vanderbilt. Patricia's recommendation letter was apparently remarkable. I majored in education policy with a concentration in social equity. Minored in psychology. Summercy interned at nonprofit organizations, grant writing groups, youth advocacy programs in Nashville and Memphis. I learned how funding moved through systems. I learned how to write a compelling proposal. I learned how to translate pain into policy. I graduated summa cum laude. Patricia cried at the ceremony and then pretended she hadn't. I'm so incredibly proud of you, she said. You have no idea. I got hired immediately as a research coordinator at the Vanderbilt College of Education, different building from Patricia's depart. Professional distance. But still connected. At T25 I had an idea. A scholarship program specifically for students from difficult or unsafe family situations. Kids who'd been kicked out, kids who'd been abused or neglected, kids who needed exactly what Dr. Holt had given me. A second chance, and so me and who believed them. I called it the Bridge Scholarship. Patricia helped me write the grant proposals. We secured funding from 3 separate foundations, launched a pilot at 1 university, then expanded to 3, then 5. By the time I was 27, we had awarded over $200,000 in scholarships and helped 51 students stay enrolled, stay safe, and stay hopeful. Local media started paying attention. Education journals. I gave interviews. I always told my personal story carefully. A 15-year-old who was told she didn't belong, who found someone who believed she did. I never named names. One afternoon, my colleague Marcus Webb knocked on my office door. "Collie, you've been recommended as the keynote speaker for Ridgemont State's spring graduation." My stomach went cold. Which campus? Cookville. My chest went tight. I stopped. Breathed. That's where Brooke goes. Marcus blinked. You have a sister? Not anymore, I said. But yes, she's graduating this spring. Marcus sat down. Do you want me to pass on it? I stared at the scholarship applicant on my desk. 51 students. 51 second chances. What's the theme? Resilience and educational equity. President Garrett personally requested you. Said your work is exactly what this ceremony should be about. My work. A scholarship program born directly from being college sick and pushed out the door. Could he have creative control over the speech? Complete control. They just want you there. I thought about Brooke in her capan gown, smiling for photos, probably idling her friends about her supportive parents, her charmed life. I thought about my parents in the audience, proud, oblivious, still certain they had my death right call 13 years ago. I thought about standing on that stage and telling the truth. Not for revenge, for closure. I need to talk to Patricia first, I told Marcus. That evening over dinner I laid it all out. They have no idea who I am now. And no idea what I've built. Patricia set down her fork. What do you want to happen when they see you? I want to close this chapter properly. Not with anger, with truth. And if they're hurt, that's not my problem. I met her eyes. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it because my story matters, because showing them who I became isn't vindictive. It's honest. Patricia reached across and squeezed my hand. Then do it with your head held high, she said. Show them who you are. I called Marcus the next morning. Tell President Garrett I accept. I found Brooke on social media. I hadn't looked in years. Morbid curiosity. She posted constantly. Senior year documented in carefully filtered squares. Brunch votes. Study sessions that looked more like fashion shoots. Captions full of gratitude. Can't believe I'm graduating in 2 months. So thankful for my incredible parents who have supported me every step of the way. #blessed. #family first. Comments poured in. You're amazing. You deserve everything. Your parents raised you so right. I scrolled through once, just once. There were no photos of me. No mention of a sister anywhere in her entire digital life. I had never existed. One post caught my eye. Brooke at dinner with my parents. Glass raised. Celebrating graduation with that were best people on earth. Dad looked grayer. Mom looked tired. But they looked happy. I closed the app. Through people I'd known back home, I heard Brooke had been telling people she was an only child. That her sister had died in a car accident when she was 12. I wrote my speech over 3 weeks. Drafted and cut and revised and read it aloud to Patricia a dozen times. Don't use names, she advised. Tell the story and let people connect the dots. The speech opened with data about educational inequity, about the students will fall through systemic cracks. Then it shifted. At 15, I was told there was something fundamentally wrong with me, that I was too broken to keep. I practiced until my voice stayed level and my face stayed calm. But someone saw potential where everyone else saw a problem. Someone gave me a second chance. And that changed absolutely everything. No tears, no bitterness, just the truth. The morning of the ceremony, I got dressed carefully. A navy blazer, gray slacks, crisp, professional. I borrowed Patricia's grandmother's pearl earrings, she insisted. In the mirror, I looked like someone I hadn't known at 15, confident, grounded, nothing like the girl in sneakers on Route 9 in January. I was ready. The campus was beautiful in the way that Tennessee campuses are in spring, dogwoods in bloom, old brick buildings in the slanted morning light, students everywhere in caps and gowns, families with cameras, that particular electric feeling of endings and beginnings colliding. I arrived early. Met President Garrett in his office. Warm, effusive. Miss Monroe, we are so honored. Your work is genuinely extraordinary. Marcus walked me backstage. The auditorium was filling. I could hear the hum of voices, hundreds of them. Somewhere in that crowd, my parents were sitting down, finding their seats, excited for Brooke's big day. They did not know who the keynote speaker was. Marcus confirmed that my name was listed in the program, but small, easy to overlook if you weren't looking for it. They'd find out soon enough. I looked at the graduation program, scanned the graduate names. Row 3, Brooke Monroe, Bachelor of Arts in Communications. My heart kicked against me ribs. You okay? Marcus asked. Yes. I folded the program. Just ready. Patricia arrived. She wore a deep green dress and looked impossibly proud. She hugged me hard. You have got this, she said. I know, I told her. I know. Head high. Truth clear. No revenge. Just the nasty. She kissed my cheek and went to find her seat. President Garrett touched my shoulder. You're on in 5 after my remarks. I nodded. I breathed. From the wings I could see the stage, the podium, the microphone, hundreds of faces stretching back into the dark. Time to go. Wait. Before I tell you what happened when I stepped onto that stage, I have to ask, have you ever been in a situation where your own family completely doubted you, but you proved them wrong anyway? Drop a yes or a no in the comments below. And if this story is hitting close to home, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps us reach the people who need to hear it. Okay, back to the ceremony. This is where everything changed. President Garrett stepped to the podium. The crowd quieted. Welcome, graduates, families, honored guests. Today we celebrate not just accomplishment but resilience, not just achievement but courage it takes to keep going when the road gets hard. Applause, cheers. Our keynote speaker has dedicated her career to ensuring that every student, no matter their circumstances, has access to opportunity. Please welcome the founding director of the Bridges Scholarship Program, Miss Collie Monroe. The auditorium gave polite applause. I walked into the light. The stage was wide and bright, and the faces beyond the first few rows blurred into a sea of black gowns and colorful stools. I walked to the podium with measured steps. My heels clicked on the stage floor, and then I saw them. Row 3. Brooke, cap and gown, honor cords around her neck. She was clapping and half turned to say something to the girl next to her. Then she looked up and saw me. Her hands stopped mid-clap, her smile fell. Confusion moved across her face, then recognition, then something close to terror. Her mouth opened slightly. No sound. Behind her, 8 rows back. Mom and Dad, still clapping, not looking closely yet, just audience members being polite. I reached a podium, adjusted the microphone, looked out over the crowd. Brooke had gone pale. She looked like she was trying to disappear through her folding chair. Patricia sat front row stage right. She nodded once at me, small and steady and sure. I gripped the edges of the podium. "Good morning," I said. My voice carried clear and strong across the room. "Thank you, President Garrett, for that introduction." Dad's head snapped up. I watched him lean forward, squint, trying to place my voice. Mom's hand went to her mouth. I smiled, warm and professional and absolutely calm. It is an honor to be here today. Today I want to talk about resilience, about what happens when you lose everything and find your way anyway. The auditorium was quiet. Let me tell you about a 15-year-old girl. I kept my voice even, conversational. She was told she didn't belong, that there was something fundamentally wrong with her, that she was too broken to keep. Mom's hand gripped Dad's arm. I could see it even from the stage. One night in January, that girl was sent out into the cold, told to leave, told she wasn't wanted. Uncomfortable movement rippled through the crowd. She walked alone in sub-freezing temperatures with nowhere to go. She was hit by a car. She nearly died. Brooke had gone completely still. Her face was white. But someone stopped. Someone helped. Someone looked at this girl and saw potential where every O'Neill's had only seen a problem. Patricia's eyes were bright. That person became her family, her mentor, her mother in every way that has ever mattered. I paused, let the words land. That 15-year-old girl was me. The auditorium went silent. Dad stood halfway up, then Mom pulled him back down. Both of them staring, mouths open. Brooke looked like she was trying to disappear. The students around her were whispering, nudging each other. Her friends looked confused and concerned. "I'm here today because Dr. Patricia Holt." I gestured toward Patricia in the front row. "Did not give up on me and my own family did. She taught method rejection is not an ending. It is a beginning." More whispers spreading like water. The Bridge Scholarship was born from exactly that experience. It exists for students who have been told they are not enough, who have been dismissed or abandoned or cast aside. I looked directly at Brooke, made eye contact and held it. Because being rejected does not define you. What you do afterward does. Today the Bridge Scholarship has helped 51 students. My voice stayed level and clear. Students exactly like the girl he used to be. I learned something important in the years that followed that night on Route 9. Family is not always biology. Sometimes it is choice. Sometimes it is the people who choose you when every O'Neill's walks away. Patricia wiped her eyes and smiled at me. You don't need a very own to believe in you. You just need one person. One person who sees past the accusations and the lies and the label they put on you. Brooke's face crumpled. She looked down. Her shoulders were shaking. Her friends had stopped whispering. They were staring at her now. And I learned, I gripped the podium, that success is not about proving people wrong. It is about building something meaningful in spite of them. Dad's hands were trembling. Mom was crying silently. Mask running dark. So to the graduating class of Ridgemont State University, I leave you with this. Your worth is not determined by who stays. It is determined by how you grow after they leave. I paused. Let it land. You will face rejection and disappointment and people who underestimate you. That is guaranteed. But you get to decide what happens next. You get to choose what you become. A standing ovation, slowly at first, then building. Students rising. Faculty rising. Not everyone. Dad stayed seated, gray and hollowed out, his hands over his face. Mom stood mechanically and clapped, tears streaming. Brooke didn't move. Sat frozen. Staring at her lap, I stepped back from the podium. President Garrett shook my hand, beaming. "Miss Monroe, that was remarkable." I walked off stage into Thewings and I breathed. The ceremony continued. I watched it through the gap in the curtains. The energy in the room had shifted. Students went up for their diplomas, but the applause was distracted, uneven. People were processing, talking low, checking phones. Brooke Monroe, Bachelor of Arts Communications. Brooke stood and walked to the stage. Her smile was tight and forced. Her hands shook when she accepted the diploma. The applause was scattered, thin. She walked off stage quickly and disappeared into the sea of gowns. I could see her friends clustered around her. Urgent. She was shaking her head, trying to say something. Failing. Mom and Dad sat rigid in their seats after the names were all called. President Garrett closed the ceremony. Congratulations to the class. Caps flew. Cheers erupted. Families surged forward. I slipped out a side door and found Patricia in the reception hallway outside the auditorium. You did it, she said, and hugged me. I did. How do you feel? I thought about it honestly. Free. Like I put something down. Marcus appeared. Collie. That was. Hell looked flustered. I had no idea. Are you okay? I'm fine. Your parents are asking to see you. They're waiting near the side entrance. Do I have to? Absolutely not, Marcus said. I can have staff. No. I straightened. I'll talk to them. On me terms. 5 minutes. Patricia squeezed my hand. I'll be right here. I walked toward the side entrance. Toward the people I'd left behind 13 years ago. They were standing by a column-earth door. Dad was gray in the face. Mom's mascara was wrecked. Brooke stood behind them. Eyes red and raw. I stopped 3 feet away. Professional dystic. He wanted to see me. Dad's mouth opened and closed. Collie, didn't know you were going to be here. I'm sure you didn't. You look. Mom's voice broke. You look so well. I am well. Dr. Holt made sure of that. Patricia had followed me and stood just behind, protective. Dad glanced either, then away. We owe you an apology. You owe me considerably more than that. My voice was calm and level. But an apology is a start. We were wrong, Mom said. We made a terrible mistake. Wes Holt have listened to you. You should have protected me. That is literally what parents are supposed to do. I kept me hands at my sides, open, not closed. You believed Brooke's lie over my truth. You called me sick. You sent me out in January with nowhere to go. Brooke flinched, tears running freely. We were wrong, Dad said. His voice cracked. I was wrong. Collie, I have thought about that night every single day for 13 years. Good. The word hung there between us. Sharp and clean. Can we talk? Mom reached toward me. Privately, as a family. We're not a family. I said it gently, not cruelly, just as a fact. You made that clear a long time ago. But we can fix it. Dad said desperately. Want to fix this? Please. There is nothing to fix. You made your choice and he made mine. We're done. Collie. Brooke's voice was quiet and broken. I'm so sorry. I was 12. I didn't understand what would happen. You were old enough to know exactly what you were doing. Marcus appeared with a folder. Scholarship applications for next semester. President Garrett wanted you to have these before you left. He handed it over. University letterhead. My name, my title, photos of recipients, Dad's eyes fixed on it. You really died all of this. Yes. Despite everything, Mom took the folder gently and opened it. Read. Her face crumpled. 51 students, and we're expanding to 4 more partner universities this fall. President Garrett appeared, warm and oblivious to the temperature in our little group. Miss Monroe, best keynote you've seen in years. Students are still buzzing. He turned to my parents. You must be Collie's family. You must be so extraordinarily proud. Silence. They are, Patricia said smoothly, with composure of someone who has practiced being gracious in difficult rooms. Aren't you? Dad's jaw worked. Yes, he said. Very proud. President Garrett beamed. Miss Monroe's program has genuinely saved lives. He shook my hand and moved on. Dad looked at me. Really looked. We had no idea what you'd built. You never asked. I kept my voice quiet and without anger. Just tired. You erased me. Why would you know? I tried to find you, Mom whispered. After the hospital, I changed my name legally. Changed my number. I met her eyes. I needed you not to find me. I needed time to heal. Did you? Dad asked. Yes, Dad, no thanks to you. Brooke's friends approached. 3 of them. Looking at the ground, then at Brooke. Is that actually your sister? One of them asked. Brooke nodded. Couldn't speak. You told everyone you were an only child. I know. You said your sister died in a car accident. Another voice, cold now. Last year you literally told me you were an only child and had always been. Brooke's face wintered. It was easier than. Than what? Then explaining that you lied and got her kicked out. The first girl looked at me. I am so sorry this happened to you. Thank you, I said quietly. They walked away. Brooke stood there watching them go. Her whole social architecture collapsed in real time. Madison, Mom started. Brooke, don't, Brooke said. Her voice was sharp and hollow. Just don't. She looked at me. She really looked. I've wanted to tell the truth so many times. For years. Then why didn't you? I was scared. Scared that Avarion would hate me. That you'd never forgive me. She wiped her face. They were right to be angry at me. I deserve it. Brooke, I stepped closer. I do not hate you. I forgive you for my own peace, not for yours. But I do not want a relationship. I need you to respect that. Can't we just? No, clear. Firm. You have had 13 years to tell the truth. You made choices every year to keep me erased. That is not childhood. That is a pattern. Brooke sobbed. Mom pulled her close. I looked at Patricia. Can we go? She linked her arm with mine. Let's go home. We walked away. I did not look back. Behind us I heard Brooke crying. Dad saying my name. Weak. I kept walking. The week after graduation my phone was full. Voicemails from Dad. Collie, please call us back. I'm so sorry. We're both so sorry. Just please. Long emails from him, full of apologies tangled up with excuses. We were under so much stress. Brooke was going through something hard. We didn't know what we were doing. I didn't respond. Work kept me busy. Scholarship applications had tripled after someone recorded my speech and posted it. 50,000 views. Thena 100,000. Comments flooding in. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. Family isn't blood. It's what shows up. Anyone know what happened to the sister? I ignored them. Focused in work. An email arrived from one of Brooke's former friends. Subject line. You should know this. Inside were screenshots, group chats. Brooke's friends distant symptoms. I can't believe she lied about her sister being dead for years. That is genuinely not okay. I'm inviting her from my graduation party. I don't want that energy there. Brooke's carefully curated social world was falling apart. I felt something small and guilty when I registered that. Mostly I felt nothing. Just relief. Patricia and I had dinner. Quiet and comfortable. How are you really doing? She asked. I thought about it. Free. Like I've been carrying something heavy for so long I stopped noticing it was there. And then suddenly I put it down. You handled yourself with tremendous grace, she said. They want to reconcile. Do you want that? I really thought about it. No, I don't think I do. She nodded and squeezed my hand. That's a completely valid answer. You're allowed to walk away. 2 weeks later, Dad showed up at my office. My assistant buzzed me. Collie, there's a Mr. Monroe here without an appointment. He says he's your father. My stomach tightened. Give me 5 minutes, then send him in. I closed my laptop, straightened my desk, breathed. Dad walked in. He looked 10 years older than he had at the ceremony. Gray and worn, shoulders down. Thank you for seeing me, he said. I have a meeting in 20 minutes, I told him. He sat across from my desk like it was a formal interview. Collie, I need to say this to you directly. What I did to you, what I said to you, it was unforgivable, yes. I agreed. It was. Brooke told us the truth. Finally, last week she broke down and confessed everything. The fake screenshots. The bruise. Elephant. 13 years too late. I know that doesn't fix anything, he said. His hands shook. He pressed them together. But I need you to understand that we have lived with this every single day. We look at the photos we took down and we know we destroyed something we cannot get back. You're right, I said. You can't. Can you forgive us? I leaned back. Forgiveness isn't really the issue, Dad. Trust is. And that is completely gone. You chose Brooke's lie over my truth. You called me sick and pushed me out the door in January. I know, he said. You don't now. I said quietly. You don't know how it is to be 15 and homeless in sub-freezing cold. To be told by your own father that you're too broken to love. You will never know that. Tears in his face now. What can I do? Tell him what to do to fix this. Nothing. I said it without cruelty. There is nothing you can do. It's been 39 years. This particular door is closed. 3 days later, an email came from Brooke. Subject: I'm sorry. I almost deleted it without opening. Curiosity 1. Collie, I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve your attention, but I have to say this. I was jealous of you. Genuinely and deeply jealous. You were smart and capable, and people gravitated to you without you even trying. I had to work for every scrap of attention, and it was never enough. You were always better at everything. When Dylan smiled at you in the hallway that day, he just snapped. I planned the whole thing. The screenshots. The bruise. Elephant. I knew Mom and Dad would believe me. They always did. I didn't think it would go that far. When I watched you walk out that door into the cold, it felt sick. But I was too scared and too proud to take it back. I've spent 13 years lying to everyone and to myself. I told people you did because it was easier than saying what he did. I destroyed your life. I know that. And I've destroyed my own too. I don't have real friends anymore. Noon trusts me. I lost a job offer because someone from graduation told the HR contact about my family. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm just asking you to know I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Collie. I read it twice. Saved it. Did not respond. She sent another 4 days later. Then another. Each one more desperate. After the 5th email, I sent on back. Brooke, I understand that you are young and scared. But you had 13 years to tell the truth and you chose not to. You chose to keep me erased and to tell people I was dead. I forgive you for my own peace. But I didn't want contact. Please respect that. She stopped writing. My speech had gone further than I expected. A national education journal asked me to write about the Bridge Scholarship methodology. 2 more universities reached out about partnering. A national conference on educational equity invited me to speak. I agreed to all of it. Marcus knocked on my office door. You're becoming famous. How's that feel? Weird, I said. I just wanted to help kids who'd fallen through. You're doing more than that. He said, you're changing how systems see those kids. The State Board of Education sent a formal commendation for outstanding contribution to educational equity. Patricia and I flew to a conference in Chicago, presented research together, stayed in a nice hotel, and talked about everything except my biological family. You've built something genuine Olympitarnt. Patricia said over dinner, you should be proud of yourself. I'm here because of you, I said. She shook her head. No, I gave you a room and a chance. You did all the rest. 1 year after Brooke's graduation, the Bridge Scholarship was active at 10 universities. We'd helped 83 students. I was promoted to senior director. Got a corner office. Recognition from names I'd only ever read in textbooks. I dated someone for a while. A kind man named James who worked in public health. It didn't work out, but it ended well. I was learning that not all endings have to be painful. Patricia turned 60. We threw a party. Colleagues, friends, students she'd mentored over decades. People who loved her, who chose her, who built real family around her. I gave a toast. To the woman who taught me that family is built, not born. Thank you for choosing. She cried happy tears and then pretended she hadn't. I thought about me biological family sometimes. Not often, not painfully. Just thoughts. Wondering where they were, whether Brooke had found any peace. They sent a Christmas card. No return address, just signatures. Ray, Donna, Brooke. No message. No explanation. I put it in a drawer. Didn't throw it away. Didn't respond. Just acknowledged that it existed. I spoke at another graduation. Different university, different students, same message at its core. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that you control. Afterward, a young woman approached me. 21 years old. Eyes red. That was my story too, she said. My parents put me out at 17. I thought I was completely alone in it. You are not alone, I told her. You are surviving. That is more than enough. She hugged Medite. Thank you, she said. I drove home that evening to the house I shared with Patricia. The woman who is my real mother in every way that counts. and I felt something I hadn't felt in many years. Complete peace. People ask me whether I regret that night. The cold, Route 9, the hospital. I don't, because it led me here, to this life, this work, this family icos. Not every story ends the way mine did. I know how lucky I am. Patricia found me and chose me and stayed. Not everyone gets that. But everyone gets to set their own limits. Everyone gets to decide who has access to their life. You do not owe toxic people your presence. Not even if they're family. Especially not if they're family. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. You can forgive someone entirely for your own peace while still keeping them out of your life. Those are not contradictory positions. They are both necessary sometimes. I learned that blood does not make a family. Choice does. Consistency does. Showing up does. Patricia showed up every single day for 13 years. She earned every bit of what the word mother means. My biological parents showed up once, failed, and never tried again. That tells you everything you need to know. I learned that success is not about proving people wrong. It is about building something meaningful in spite of them. The Bridge Scholarship wasn't revenge. It was purpose. It was taking the worst thing that happened home and turning it into something that helps other people. That is the difference between revenge and purpose. Revenge wants to hurt. Purpose wants to heal. I learned that your worth isn't determined by who stays. It is determined by how you grow after they leave. Some people will always underestimate you, reject you, tell you you're sick, too broken, too much, not now. That is their limitation, not yours. You get to decide what comes next. You get to choose who you become. I chose to become someone who helps kids like the girl I was. Kids who need a second chance. Kids who need someone to tell them they are worth saving. That is my legacy. Not the family that pushed me out the door. The family I built after .so that's my story. The cold night that almost destroyed me became the catalyst for everything I have. I'm 28 now. Same age as when I started to lynch this. But I feel older and wiser and whole in a way I didn't know was possible. My parents' numbers are still in my phone. I haven't deleted them. I haven't called either. They exist in my past, not my present, and absolutely not my future. Brooke sends a message every few months. Short, apologetic. Thinking of you. Hope you're okay. I read them. I don't respond. Maybe someday I will. Maybe I won't. Either way is okay. Dr. Patricia Holt is mom now. Not Dr. Holt, not Patricia. Just mom. She is the emergency contact on every form I fill out. The person I call when something good happens. The one whose opinion matters when I'm trying to make a hard decision. Blood didn't make her my mother. 13 years of choosing me did. 13 years of showing up and believing in me and loving me even when I couldn't love myself. That is what family is. Every year on January 9th, the anniversary of that night on Route 9, I drive past my old house. Not to punish myself. Not to wallow. Just to remember. I park across the street and I look at those windows, that front door, and I think that girl survived. She survived being called sick and being pushed out into the cold and being told she was too broken to love. And she didn't just survive. She built something real. If you are in a storm right now, literal or otherwise, know this. You can survive it. You can even thrive on the other side of it. Just because a someone gives up on you does not mean you give up on yourself. Set your limits. Choose your people. Build your purpose. And don't ever let anyone tell you that you're too sick, too broken, or too much. You are exactly enough. Thank you for listening. You matter. Thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. If this story helped you in any way, please hit that like button and subscribe. Your support helps these stories find the people who need to hear them. And if you want more stories like this, I've linked similar ones in the description below. Remember, you definitely are worth. Nobody else gets to do that. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.